Hey, 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 good evening, everyone. It's yours truly, Tammy B. And I want to welcome and thank each and every one of you for joining another session of Real Talk with Tammy B and Company, the show where we are recording live so that you can actively engage in our conversation via the chat. So, actually, let me be clear, the YouTube chat. So, if you are watching via another platform and have something to say, jump on over to YouTube and let us hear from you. And if you are on YouTube, please, sir, please, ma'am, drop us some comments and or questions throughout the conversation. And before we get started, I do want to ask if you are not part of our community, please join us by subscribing as we are here weekly at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with new content, to which you all know I am always grateful for you amazing people being with us this evening. And listen, today has been, I'm going to say, I can't speak for nobody else, but I'm going to say for me, it's been a weird day. So it looks like I can't get in touch with my guest of the hour, and that's okay because there's a scripture in the Bible when God said he had a ram in the bush. And so, being that the talk is about hold on. I'm still sharing. Uh, told y'all weird day. But being that we are talking about global mass hypnosis, and Cola reached out to me earlier to let me know that she was not going to be in. Hubby is off today, so they're going to do a date night. So therefore, I reached out to the queens who so graciously obliged and was able to jump on with us to have this conversation because I did a lot of advertising on it because listen,
Mm.
this stuff is real and I know for a fact people need to hear about it and they need to know about it. But before we dive in and hopefully I don't know if technical difficulties has had arrived, but Shelly was with us, but we lost him for a minute, so don't know if he'll be popping back in. But again, we are going to move forward. So, Miss Sylvia, thank you for accepting the last minute call. How are you doing tonight, Queen?
Blacktastically.
Black.
Doing great.
Love it blacktastically. And Miss P, girl, you are the MVP because you wasn't sure you were gonna be able to make it, and not only did you make it, you were the first to make it. How are you doing tonight, Queen?
I'm doing excellent, as Sylvia usually says. So I'll take her word tonight. I'm doing excellent.
Excellent. You know what? I made up a word the other day. I think I put ex ex amazing, ex amazing. Yeah, I put excellent and amazing together. So I was talking to my aunt and I made up a word the other day. So all right, I got blacktastic and I have excellent. So yes, 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 yes. So now you guys know I like to ask a question every week, and now I want to make sure I start engaging the chat. So listen, if anybody is viewing via the chat right now and you have access to type, question for you all that I'm going to also ask the panel. What is one global issue you would solve and why? What is one global issue you would solve and why? Drop it in the chat to my viewers. And I'm going to start with you, Miss P. What's one global issue you would solve and why?
I would solve homelessness.
Yes.
And the reason I would solve homelessness because if homelessness is solved, then so could hunger be, and a
Mm,
lot of other things that go along with that. Um, and also because we're supposed to have everything we need. I understand that, we come here for various reasons, to have various experiences, but, part of this whole thing that you're talking about tonight is, I think, part and parcel of that. Because, there's a scripture that says we'll always have the poor with us, and people actually believe that.
Mm,
Don't know, how that, what context that was in when it was written, what it really meant, but I do know that um, we are supposed to be able to eat free.
yes,
We are supposed to be able to have housing. I
yes,
mean, there was a time when you could just walk out your door and pick fruit off the trees.
yes.
And all of a sudden that got stopped, and it wasn't by accident. So I'll just let the next person talk,
No,
see what they
but
would do.
no, but that's good. And even when you said the Bible said that we would always have the poor with us, I feel that's part of that hypnosis thing that's taking place. Because if you can convince the people you gotta have poor with us, you gotta you there's a lack, there's not enough for
Mhm.
everybody to go around. Whatever you can instill into the mindset of the people, that becomes their reality, and they keep that active. So I love everything that you just said. That was good. That was good. Miss Sylvia, what is one global issue you would solve and why? And Shelly, I'm going to acknowledge you in a minute, my love. What is one global issue you would solve and why?
Racism. And the reason that would be like paramount for me is because there are no races. We are all one. And if we were properly taught in the public school systems and other institutions, we would know our history, we would know spirituality, how man evolved, and all of that. That's just the physical part. But
Mhm.
spiritually, we are one. We are one.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree with you 100%. As a matter of fact, I think I've said it recently. Like, I don't even I understand the race wars. I get it, but I don't get it because when people really start knowing who they are, you love everybody. We're all interconnected. We're all part of God's source energy creator, however way you want to refer to him as. And when you do that, you really start looking at the world different. You start operating more from the spirit of love, which is supposed to be which is the foundation of this earth, but it's been filled with so much hatred and things of that nature. So, hey, Shelly, how are you this evening, my love?
I'm well. Sorry for the difficulties, but all is well.
Listen, I was telling them before you joined, today has been for me a weird day. So
Mhm.
I'm not even surprised that you having difficulties. As a matter of fact, I can't even get in touch with Cassandra. I don't know what happened, but y'all know me. I keep it moving. So if she's able to pop in with us, we will receive her insights. So, but Shelly, so the question that I asked everybody, and again, viewers, if you have access to type, drop it in the chat. In fact, let me read this one. Someone put HOA was created to mandate a yard of grass instead of a garden. Yeah, HOAs can be more damaging. There's good and there's bad. It just depends on how it's ran. So, um, Miss Abuela, somebody, well, actually, knowing me, put in the chat. Evening, everyone. I see an eagle sign in Queen Sylvia's background. Go Eagles! So, shout out to the Eagles. Shout out to the Eagles. Yeah, because they beat Dallas last week. Yeah, yeah. So Shelly, what is one global issue you would solve and why? Did we
Hmm.
lose you again?
Uh, can you hear?
You sounding like a
Can you hear me?
computer and your
I can
your
hear you guys and
camera's
see you
still.
guys.
Huh?
Hear me?
Uh-oh.
I, what about now?
Okay.
Uh, I'm
Where you
good.
at, Shelly? Because I already know you are not home, and you're not gonna say you in no
I'm in
basement.
the
You're not
house. That's why I
outside.
don't know
Where
what's
you
going
at,
on.
Shelly?
I'm at home. I'm in the house.
Oh,
Can you not hear me?
Okay, we can hear you. You at home?
Can you
You in
not
the
hear me?
house? What's the global issue you
Okay.
want to solve, and why?
Um, I don't know. There's so many. Um, I don't know. I would find a way to knock out currency. Like I don't know how you would pay for stuff, but it shouldn't be based off money. If that makes sense. The necessities in life.
Oh,
You know,
that makes good
anything
sense.
nature provides, it shouldn't cost you.
So if I understand you correctly, everyone should have, period. Because if you take away the currency, we should all be able to create. We should all, as Miss P said, we all should be able to eat. We should all be able to live. We can love one another, be happy. So knock out currency. Yeah. Can we knock out the
If nature provides it, it shouldn't cost. Yes.
thank you. Tell these greedy people that. Tell the people who want all that's greedy and want all the power and the control. They're the ones. Yeah, really. All right, good responses, guys. I love it. And yeah, HOAs, Kimberly. Yeah, I would desire to not be in one, but that's another story. It's hard to not find a house that you like these days that's not in one. So our little fun food fact for today. Today is National TV Dinner Day. Do you first of all, do y'all I know y'all remember y'all look, y'all smile. Y'all y'all remember them. Do they even still make them?
I don't know.
Knowing what we know about processed foods these
I
days,
hope not.
huh?
I was saying I hope not.
Yeah, knowing what I know about processed food, I wouldn't even want to eat one. I just like, because you remember they used to be all dried up. In fact, was it Swanson? Swanson was the one of the TV dinner people, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't believe I still remember that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just got the little image in my head and those little compartmentalized. It was so, yeah. Oh, somebody. Yes, exactly. TV dinner day. Yuck. I agree, chat. Yeah, that is. Ugh. No, we're going to pass on that. However, to and then there's no other good food to go with it. So yeah, well, I guess they do have still have frozen meals. Yes. I guess that's their version of a TV dinner. And then, but I would probably do the fresh to go or something like that, the meal prep companies or something. But I think you're still supposed to keep them fresh. Okay,
Mm.
so today is also Sewing Machine Day, and it's Swap Ideas Day, which is a holiday dedicated to the collaborative spirit of sharing and exchanging creative ideas and or helpful ideas with others, fostering innovation and breakthroughs through teamwork. It encourages people to pick each other's brains, to spark new perspectives, and develop fresh concepts in a social or professional setting. Which now today may be a good day for this talk because we surely are going to be picking some brains and exchanging ideas and diving deep. Because remember, I said this is a topic, well, I guess I didn't say, but I'm so happy to have this topic because it's time for the world to pull the blinders off. The veil is coming down, and it's a lot of awakening that needs to occur. And I want to do my part in the journey. Also, I do want to shout out the HBCUs because this week is National HBCU. So if you attended an HBCU and you in the chat, we want to shout you out. Drop the name. We already know Aggie Pride in the house.
Mhm.
North Carolina A&T is with us today. So shout out to the HBCUs. Y'all know I'm a Florida girl. I didn't attend the HBCU, but our big teams are what, FAM and Cookman and UM. So yeah, shout out to the HBCUs. This is your week. So before we dive into our topic tonight, I do want to just did you guys hear first of all, today has been a busy day. Did you guys hear about this assassination of some guy named Charlie Kirk? You heard about it,
I
Shelly?
heard somebody at work mentioned it.
Yeah, I guess he was a big Loki supporter, and they say he had a big influence on him getting into the White House. I'm not going to even debate or question that. But I guess he was at some event today, and he was assassinated. So do want to extend condolences to his family on that. In addition to that,
Oh
a at
boy.
least four. What you say, Shelly?
No, I forgot my mic was on. I said, oh boy. But what came to mind is what constitutes whether a person is murdered or assassinated or unalive. You know what I mean? I noticed that only certain people are, quote, assassinated.
Mm, mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shelly, what were you gonna say?
I wasn't. I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay. I'll just making sure you lit up, so I just want to be sure. I know, right? I throw my hands up. I can't solve every issue, so I
Be-
don't know, but
Tammy, it goes back to your topic this evening because the
Yes.
narrative has to be a certain way for certain people, for certain situations. They want you to, or they want us to take this narrative and spread it. So then that becomes the truth, whether it's the
mm,
truth or not.
mm, I love it. I like how you said that. I like how you said that. Wow. But that's what's going on. That's how this matrix is playing out. Also today there was a shooting in Evergreen, Colorado, where at least four students were injured at a high school. So yeah, today has been a very I said before, this has been an interesting day, and this is before I heard all this because I just got this information in the last couple of hours. Also, I want to play a
Wow.
video real quick, and I just want your comments on this. So I hope I'm able to share. And then I guess it's not even really about the volume. I just want you guys to see this, and I want your thoughts. I think I already know your thoughts, but I want to share this anyways. So they're looking at what a drone is supposedly looking at a UFO, and this was like October of last year. And what they're saying happened.
This is when it zoomed out, so you can still see it traveling. So, Mr. Knapp,
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. So apparently that was at a congressional hearing, and they were they're I guess discussing the fact that the government has this information that they continue to keep from us, and they're saying that when that the drone spotted this UFO, and the fact that it hit it with a missile, and the missile literally bounced off of it, even although some fragments broke off. But then the fragments, I guess the technology with the UFO, whether it's a strong magnet, whatever it is, they were observing the fact that the magnets didn't just fall to the ground, they continued to, follow, I guess, in a sense, the mothership. Any comments or thoughts on that?
I'm gonna say this: there's hundreds of those, and I don't know why anybody would be surprised to think that there's other other life. Not like I think they're all humans. They're just smarter, and I think it's his own planet actually. So I don't know why anybody would be surprised at that. But there's hundreds of videos of us fighting UFOs and stuff.
Really? I guess I got to do some
Yeah.
research. Now, I know I've seen videos, whereas there's, I mean, let me say that I believe aliens are with us. I believe I believe they're here. You go ahead and be like, okay, y'all, let's go ahead and she's off her rocker, but she's really not. I do believe that they're here. Anybody care to comment or tell me that I am off my rocker based on their thoughts?
I think
Well,
they've
I don't think
always
they're
been there.
aliens. They're just us.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I like
they're
that.
just our ancestors, if you want to call them.
Who
Okay.
says we're from
They're
here?
not aliens. They did here. Exactly.
Okay. Look, see, now we jumping into this conversation because in fact, dang Queens, I forgot to send this to you guys. I sent it to a couple people. Um, I was listening to a channel message, and it was saying that even we are not even really from Earth. So for you to say that, I kind of did kind of hear something like that. But I listen to stuff because I want to know, and what resonates, what doesn't resonate. I know to discard, but I want to get as much. I'm searching for truth, and I believe we're not being given truth in this in the world, aka the matrix that we are in. So let me pose this question as we dive in, because I want to help the people understand the concept. Can either one of you answer the question, how would you define global mass hypnosis, and in what ways is it influencing societies today?
Global mass, say that global mass hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's when it's called, we used to call it the herd instinct. That's
Mm-hmm.
when whatever media pushes, the herd will follow. And because the public food system doesn't teach critical thinking, we just fall in line with whatever the news, I call it the noose, like Dr. B calls it the noose, Noose. You get caught up in a noose. But we're not taught to do critical thinking, to analyze things, to go back and research things, although we carry in our hands every single second a computer. But we
Mm-hmm.
won't go on there and do the research to find out what's going on. We just fall into the mass media, which is a tool for mass hypnosis. And what they do is one of the main things they do is perpetuate fear. So if you feed into the news or their news media, you're going to be fearful.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, when you're fearful, then they could, come up with a reason to have war. So certain people will make more money. Oh, they're they're extraterrestrials. They're well. Look it up. What is an extraterrestrial? What is an alien? What's the difference? And then you'll understand it's foolishness, and it should have been a part of behavioral science. It should have been a part of your curriculum. because this topic has been going on for hundreds of years. This didn't just start.
Mm.
So Billy Carson, I heard him make mention of this, but any of us who've read the Bible also know this. Jesus could be considered an alien. He said he was not of this world.
Mm.
But they don't teach that over the pulpit
Mm-mm,
because they're trained in the cemeteries or seminaries to teach a certain way. So they would never bring up that particular scripture.
mm-mm.
It's too revealing.
And the Bible says don't bother the things in the earth and the things above the earth.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, Shelly, you breaking up on us. Say
Am
that
I? I
again.
don't know what's wrong with my connection. I say even the Bible mentions you don't worry about the things in the earth or the things above the earth.
No.
Still no?
Yeah, we heard you. You no,
Mhm.
we
Oh.
but see, that's the problem. That's where they have the population so focused on the things of the world. Even when the scripture says, do be in the world but not of the world, or do not be entangled in the cares of this world, but yet people are constantly entangled because everything that Miss Sylvia said, no critical thinking, and they're constantly feeding information to us to keep us in a fearful state. As long as you think a tree branch gonna fall on you when you walk out the house, you'll never go out the house. You'll never rise above your thinking. And even when it comes to a lot of things that they teach us, that some of the things that I feel was inserted in the Bible, if they're teaching us to put God in a box, if he's confined to a box, we never see who we are, because we're one, afraid to go beyond that, because that's not what we were told. Any comments on any of that?
Another thing we have to realize that these things are concepts, like you said, putting God in a box. Who said that God was able to be put in a box? These are concepts that people feed into. Another concept is that we are gods and goddesses, and that's in Psalms 82. We are the gods and goddesses. So we have to do some critical thinking when we're talking about scriptures which came from ancient uh, papyruses and scriptures written thousands of years ago, but have been renovated in the Council of Nicaea, which you all know about, where Christianity was structured. So it's all about not being so gullible and doing some research and understanding that the news media is not a concept, is not necessarily the truth.
It's opinionated.
And
um
then what? And if we know that, see, if we knew that it wasn't the truth, we wouldn't feed into it every single day, every single night. I know people that have the news on from morning until night, and
yes,
all of that information is feeding their subconscious mind,
Mhm.
and even go to sleep on it. So that's more fear that they're instilling, more lies uh, that they are just taking upon themselves.
indeed.
So, so as Sylvia said, the main news media is a tool, and you're going to hear the same narrative on every news station: ABC, CBS, NBC, whatever. They got a
Mhm.
bunch of them. So, whichever one you turn to, they're all going to be telling you the same exact thing.
Mhm.
And once your conscious mind hears that enough, your subconscious mind is going to take it and use it as truth. because most of our actions are predicated on what's in our subconscious minds. Those programs we were programmed with from age one on. We're reacting and acting out of those all the time. So, Umar Johnson is a prime example for me. Whenever he wants to get a concept through, he always repeats it at least 3 times. So that's how the news media goes. You hear the same story on the same station, and then you go to another, you hear the same thing. So people, oh, well, that's what they said, so it must be true. Everybody's saying it.
I have a
Oh,
question. I have a question.
yes,
Why
ma'am.
do people watch the news day and night? Why? Does anybody here watch the news? Why?
Don't.
I'm just asking why.
I think people watch it out of fear. Um, and because they think that what they're really hearing is the truth.
That's it.
And not
That's it.
only that, I think people are drawn. And forgive me for just joining. I thought it was at 8 for some reason, even though I just looked and I saw that it's 7:30.
That's
So
okay.
forgive me
Thank you
for
for
that.
joining.
Yeah. So I think that they look at it as well because the mind, I think people naturally gravitate toward negativity. And I think that at that point, that's really what it's made up of is negativity.
Exactly. Exactly. Somebody put in the chat, give the propaganda to the proper goose. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much. And that and that's what it is. And when you just said, like, to repeat it over and over and over, just because they're feeding it to you over and over, that still don't make it true. But the thing is, as reality creators, first of all, let's back up. People need to understand we're vibrational creatures. We create our own reality, and whatever you think about, you bring about. So anything that you focus on, yes, that does become a reality. So and that's one of the things that I feel that that we haven't been given the luxury of knowing all these years who we truly are. Yeah, we're told we're fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, and yet we're not being given permission to operate as such, because they do things like that to dummy down our power, keep people under like this spell. It's almost like the spaceship. I want to say it was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where the people were hypnotized by the spaceship. That's what I feel like going is going on right now. But it's not a spaceship per se. It's the waves and the frequencies in the universe. Anybody have a comment on any of that?
Yeah,
I believe they're spaceships.
Oh, I believe it. No, no, I'm saying I was just using the image of the movie where the people were like hypnotized by it. They were staring at it, and they were controlling them with spaceship. That's the analogy that I was using. And hold on, let me real quick, Dr. Cassandra, again, well, thank you for joining, and just tell the people real quick who
Mm.
you are, and so they understand that this is a talk that we put together about 6 7 months ago, and we had to have
Mhm.
it back because it's too much going on in the world today, and I felt this is something we needed to talk about. But tell the people real briefly
Yes.
who you are, ma'am.
So I'm Dr. Cassandra Bell. See, this topic is about I can't even get out hypnotherapy. Okay, and I practiced hypnotherapy for about 2 years. I had my business doing that. I studied hypnotherapy maybe for about three years in California. Um, I'm also the owner of Senior Services Now, where I help with placing seniors in their families, helping them go through the transitions of life. For like if they need to move into a senior citizens community or just be in placement pretty much is what I'm doing there. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So, you didn't hear my question, so I'm going to ask it to you. How would you
Mhm.
define global mass hypnosis in your words, and in what ways is it influencing societies today?
Okay, so I would define global hypnosis um, fear based. Once global hypnosis is based on mainly fear, and so when you're under that that hypnosis energy, um, you're you have a lot of anxiety built up. So therefore, they're able to get to your subconscious mind and reprogram it in a way that's more conducive to what they want you to believe. Did that answer your question?
It does. It does. And we're gonna go further. As a matter of fact, it just something just popped back in my head from when you were talking a moment ago, Miss Sylvia. Like I think when you were saying it was either you or Miss P, like around the age of 1 and beyond that the programming starts, right? When we're born
That's correct.
into this world, we are programmed. And I heard the term the theta, it's like the theta programming that they do in our lives from 1 to 7. So if they start programming us early, then by the time you 7, you're operating based on the environment, the programming, and
Yes.
everything that was instilled in you. Now here's the thing, let's be clear with this, because one thing I believe in, if we bring a problem to the table, we bring a solution to the table. These programmings can be broken. That's let me make that disclaimer right now. Anybody can break free from the programming, if they you just have to make a conscious choice to be able to do so. All right,
You
any
know,
go ahead.
so being hypnotized, let me see, like 95% of the world is in some point hypnotized in some point of the day. They're like they're hypnotized in just by whatever, and because 95% are not critical thinkers and only 5% is critical thinkers. So therefore, because of that, you're easily hypnotized into believing whatever. and
Let me show
and
you the
everybody
video.
taking information differently. So they have say that again.
No, go ahead, finish out what you were saying.
Oh,
Everyone taking
so
information differently.
everybody taking information different. So some people are highly suggestible and others are not. So there's four types of suggestibility, which is emotional, physical, intellectual, and some somnambulist. Okay. So the somnambulist, they have both emotional and physical suggestibility. So emotional suggestible, they take in information um, indirectly, and so when they take that in, they form the thought, then they get the emotional, then they get the physical response. With the physical suggestible, they get the thought, and then they get the image, and then they get the physical reaction, then the emotional. They take in information directly, and they speak in metaphors. And the emotional suggestible speaks directly. So it's different types. The intellectual suggestibility, they analyze, but they can also be hypnotized as well. So that's the different types of suggest how people take in information,
Nice.
if that
Miss
makes sense.
Sylvia, Miss no, good stuff. No, this is good. Break it down, sis. Break it down. We love it.
Yeah, 88% of your mind is subconscious, and only 12% is conscious. So, so when like I said, whenever a person is in anxiety, that's where the hypnosis starts, and then you have to trust the person. So the first stage of hypnosis is trust. Okay. And so once they get you there, then they get you in the anxiety part, then they start feeding you all of these messages over and over. And that's why she mentioned the news media. It replays things over and over and over. And so when people are suggestible like that, it goes through their critical mind. And half of them are not thinking critically anyway, so it's easy to get to and reprogram. And like she said, you should never sleep with the television on because your subconscious mind never sleeps. So because of that, it's like a protector. It protects you, but it also it's like a child. It absorbs everything you tell it. So when things are being repeated over and over, it's programming you. And even with kids from 0 to 12, they're sponges. So whatever you tell them is true. So by the time their critical mind forms, it's already there. So you have to do you have to do hypnotherapy in order to even get through that, to even reprogram to more positive suggestions.
And I
That's
think the hypnotherapy that those children receive comes through the public food system.
Oh yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was going to show you guys another form of hypnotherapy. I mean hypnosis.
definitely.
This actually I don't know which has the highest ranking, the television or this, because
That
you think this. I agree. I think it's
Hmm.
this, because look, the TV can't go everywhere we go. People can't walk around with a flat screen
Mm-mm.
and with on their person.
Mhm.
However, everybody has this, and then they have all their notifications on. So you get in text messages, you get in social media notifications, you get in news notifications, you get this alert, that alert, that. No
Yeah.
one unplugs.
No.
And again, when you're dealing with the constant bombarding of that information, you're not allowing yourself time to think, to process, and to unplug, and to really get in tune and in touch with who you are. And that's what I feel is another, what they say, what the scriptures say, the distractions of the enemy, we're not ignorant of his devices. These things have become devices to keep people in a spell. And then let me give you guys the opportunity to talk, because I'm passionate about this, because we got to wake up
So
and acknowledge this stuff.
yeah, I would like to say the way you take in information is formed from 0 to 5 through your primary caregiver, which is your mom or dad, whoever is the primary. From 5 to 8 is, like she said, the school system, peers, all of that's being formed, and from 8 to 14 is the secondary person that's taking in that's forming your thoughts. So if you don't have any of that around to even talk to, like some kids don't have anyone. So they get their information from the world. So that's forming them from the news, from everything. So and when you do in hypnosis, when a person is in hypnosis, it's a controlled environment. When I wake them up out of hypnosis, I tell them to say wide awake 3 times, to come back into their body, to come back into their surroundings and say wide awake. So imagine if you're in hypnosis, just in everyday life, and you never come back to yourself,
Mhm.
and you never say wide awake. So you're just walking in hypnosis most of the time. Because at what point, like you said, do you unplug to come out of it?
Right. So people got to be careful with that.
Yes.
And even trusting it, even with hypnotherapy, one has to be careful. Make sure the right person, because you don't want you don't want nobody to program your brain and say, I every time you see a green light, bark at it or something like a dog. You
Mhm.
got to be, you don't want nobody
Yeah, you do.
programming your subconscious. But at the end of the day, if they're constantly feeding us fear, they're programming everyone to constantly be on alert, be defensive, combative. There's so many low vibrational frequencies that are being programmed into the masses. And I'm always going back to the Matrix. Like the Matrix said, listen, this is a red or a blue pill moment. You can listen to what we're saying, you can take the red pill and you can wake up and you can see what they don't want you to see, or you can go back to sleep as though none of this ever existed. So at the end of the day, this does become a choice, and we encourage everyone to do their own, do go further in your research and study. Am I living my thoughts? Because that's also another form of hypnosis. Think about it. I'll use this small analogy, but crazy. White after Labor Day. Why we can't wear white after Labor Day? So,
Thank you.
you know, think, isn't that a programming? Because you
It
got
is.
some. I'm sorry.
It is.
It is something as simple as that. Wearing white after Labor Day is a hypnotic spell because you got some people that refuse to wear white between Labor Day and Easter because that was programmed in them.
Hmm.
That's
And
I
how.
would
another,
like,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
another big thing that's a program is the music that people listen to. So the music, I mean, is really programming. Video games programming. When you have a child playing violent video games at that young age before your critical mind is even formed, it doesn't know, the subconscious mind doesn't know fiction from reality. So therefore, if they're committing violence on the video games, well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to commit violence in real life. If they're listening to violent music, they're going to be programmed to do that. It's just, and people don't understand what they do to a child by letting them play video games, listen to certain music. You know, um, it's poison.
And you know what? You just made me think of something. Catch this. I don't know if anybody knew this, and I just recently learned it. Steve Jobs, the big guy for Apple and the iPhone and all that stuff, he wouldn't even let his children have one, or he had
Mhm.
them. It was limited time that they would have on it. Now think about it. iPhones are everywhere, but the creator wants nothing to do with it because they know these things. In fact, there was a movie, I don't know if it's still out, a documentary that was on Netflix a while back. It was called The Social Media Experiment. I think, or this, think that's what the name was, but it was basically a lot of creators of these, of your, even your Facebook likes, your social media likes, and things of that nature. They were talking about how they regret social media in a sense because of what has come forth on it. But you got to think, there are some people, look, another form of hypnosis, people are addicted to likes. If they're not getting enough likes on their social media posts, like I've heard, like people, like if they ain't get enough likes, they'll delete a post, or there are people have been depressed because people are not liking their content and things like that. Hypnosis. Comments. I like to digress.
I would like to comment on the fact that cell phones are a result of mass hypnosis. We have been programmed to believe that you cannot go anywhere or do anything without your smartphone. And if you don't believe it, what happens when you leave one at home?
You going back? You going
How many people can go out without a smartphone in their hands? That's a result of mass hypnosis.
back? Yeah.
Mhm.
Quite different from back in the day. Like, look, everybody
Yes,
had a
and
landline.
back in the day, wait a minute, back in the day, we were taught critical thinking. And what I did today, when you asked me to be on the podcast, I went and I wanted to get a definition of critical thinking. Do you mind if I read it?
Not at all.
Critical thinking is the disciplined process of analyzing, evaluating, and interpreting information objectively to form a well reasoned judgment and make informed decisions. And if you are a critical thinker, you will question assumptions, you'll recognize biases, you're assessing things by evidence and applying logic and understanding to complex issues. And what the media does is take a complex issue and simplify it, and the masses eat it up. But has nothing to do with back in the day. Yes, we know that we can walk out of the house and we don't need a phone. And I'm glad that I'm from back in the day. But today, the masses are hypnotized
Mhm.
by smartphones. They don't believe they can operate without it. And they'll pay a lot of money for them, mass hypnosis advertising. And the only thing they know how to do is say hello, goodbye, TikTok. They don't know how to do any kind of research on those phones.
Mm. Cassandra, Miss
No, it
P,
goes
one of
back
you.
to what I said about 95% of the population have no critical thinking concept. Only 5% do that. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah. But that and look, that goes back to what I not too long ago said what's Rockefeller. He wanted a world full of thinkers. I mean, he didn't want a world full of thinkers. He wanted a world full of workers, which is why
Mhm,
he established the Board of Education. Because he don't
mhm.
want the kids to think. He want people to think if I feed you this, um, this is what it is. Take it at face value. Even if it's a lie, take it at face value. Because even as you were talking, Abuela, I was thinking when you were talking about the critical thinking and not questioning things, because you got to think. I'm sure at some point, every one of us have questioned things in the Bible. But then if you take that to the wrong people, they're going to get together and tell you, nope, this is it. This is God's word, this, that, and the other. And I still to this day do not believe God intended for anybody to ever be a slave.
And the church is another example of mass
Yes,
hypnosis.
it is.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
like
That.
cults, you know,
Mhm.
you're
Well,
isolated into
yeah.
one way of thinking for
Mhm.
years and years and years. And don't you think the people on the news and in advertising, they are psychologists, psychiatrists, they are professional mind controllers. They know
They
how
are,
the mind works.
and you're right about the church. That is a hypnotic tool. The music, the swaying back and forth, it puts you in a trance state. And
Mhm.
therefore, you're able to, feed those message units to the congregation and influence in a big way. And I want to say one other thing too about the subconscious mind. So I also studied handwriting analysis. So handwriting analysis, um, you find out more about a person in doing incursive writing. And if you notice, they took the incursive writing out of the schools. You
Yes,
know,
they
so I'm thinking they don't want them to be programmed in a certain way, but they want to be able to do it by the news media, you know, instead of on an individual level.
I
So,
think the cursive has to do with something like sacred geometry.
mhm,
Angles,
yeah,
symbols have an effect on the mind. That's why I believe they took the cursive out.
mm, yeah,
Mm.
because the way a person writes a D, a T, the spaces in between the letters, the the um the lightness of the print and the darkness tells a lot about a person, you know.
Mm.
how a person writes their name. You can tell a lot about them through that, through their. You can read them. You know, yeah, it's very
Oh, wow.
interesting,
No,
and they
that
know
is.
that too. They totally know
Mhm.
that. That's why when you see them and when you see people of influence and they write their signature, they scribble it so you won't be able to tell their personality.
I have a question.
Hmm.
Mm.
If a signature is the only legal way to address a document, why would they take cursive out of the public fool system?
Ooh.
Hmm.
Chat, do y'all want to help us with that one? I
Hmm.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But oh, you
And
know
you
what?
know,
Okay, so Abuela, a lot of documents now are going electronically.
mm,
And I'm not justifying them, but I'm just using this as an example. You would do
Still
that.
has this. Okay.
it's, yeah, you still have to
There's an
sign it.
answer to it. There's an intelligent answer to it. I'm just putting it out there.
No, that's a good one. That's good.
And you need to look it up and find out why.
You're
I'm
not
not
gonna
going to
tell
tell
us?
you. I'm not going to tell you.
But Abuela, this is wisdom that you
And
dropping
that's
on.
what I'm using tonight, wisdom. It's time for people to stop having the herd instinct. They need to learn critical thinking and go do things for themselves.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Miss P,
You
you were
understand what
trying
I'm
to.
saying?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah. No disagreement here. Miss P, were you trying to add on?
No, no, it wasn't.
Okay.
But what Sylvia just said, I go through it every day. And people don't think there is a sign right at the cashier's window where I work in it. I've read this sign because everybody, honestly, I think I maybe have had one person in 3 years come to that window who understood what the sign said. It said, we do, in essence, it says, we do not give change except for people who are paying for whatever they're paying for. Because people come and they just want change so they can go, to the canteen or the locker where they leave their phone or whatever it is at the courthouse. And I will have people step up to the window and say to me, "You don't give change?" I say, usually I will say, "Did you read that?" Some of them will step back and read it. Some of them I will ask, "Would you give me your money knowing you're supposed to get change back if you weren't getting it back?" And I get some really weird answers sometimes. But you're right, people do not think critically. Why would you give somebody your money and you're not going to get your change back? But they're
Listen.
okay with that.
Well, in the world that we're doing, even I'm wondering how much math that's teaching because I don't know. I think I shared the story on here a while back. Like I was at a Walmart and the guy gave his daughter. I'm going to assume this to be his daughter. Gave the young lady money to pay for the stuff. And she literally, when the girl finished ringing her up, she literally stood there like a deer in headlights. And this girl had to be like 12, 13 years, maybe 11, 12, 13 years old. And she just stood there like she didn't even know what to do. And the girl was waiting. And so the guy came back and saw, and he had to take the money and count the money out. I don't think the young lady knew how to count the money to the cashier. And so I'm
And
like,
sometimes the cashier doesn't know how to count the money back to the
oh well,
customer.
that's happening too. That's why a lot of
Yeah.
places say exact change only. Because again, if you, it's just like people are not being taught to think. But just because they're not teaching people to think, people got to start taking the initiative to think for themselves.
Mhm.
That's against the law.
I'm not
Mhm.
with you.
And another hypnotic tool that's going to be
What to
coming up
teach yourself.
is AI. AI is going to be another hypnotic tool where you're not going to be able to write anything because you're so dependent on AI. And they're
True.
promoting that right
Hmm.
now. So when you're not using your muscle, it deteriorates, right? Well the brain is that. So if you're using AI and Chat GPT to write your papers, to write everything for you, and you're not using your mind, um, it's going to be a lot of dementia going on. I think.
I
I
agree.
mean, I really
Hmm.
think that that's going to be taking effect.
No, I agree.
Definitely.
In fact, I said a long time ago, I said, man, if people are not careful,
Hmm.
AI is going to shut down brain cells.
It
And
will. Hmm.
one of the things, like, I'll never forget, like, my first meeting of Miss Sylvia, some, like, let's see, what, okay, it has to be like 4 years ago now, because I've been back in Atlanta 3.5. And one of the things that we talked about was texting. She was like, when you texting, you only using one side of your brain. Like, so I'm trying to remember as best I can, Abuela, but you might have to help me. But she was saying you using one side of your brain. So that's why it's important to pick up the phone and call people, have conversations, stop just texting everything that you need to get out. We need, one, I feel also too, with us being light force beings, which we've never been taught that underneath all this, we are light, and we need to energize ourselves. So that's where the communication with each other, another form of hypnosis, and this just popped in my head, so I'm gonna go ahead and shift to it. Another form of hypnosis that's taking place is the battle of the sexes. Women claiming they don't need a man, or they don't need this, and they don't. We all, no one is created to be alone. I don't. I just feel at some point we are to have some form of companionship, whether it's intimate. That's not even what I'm talking about. But I just feel we're not supposed to be so divided. And I feel one of the biggest form of hypnosis today is divide and conquer. If you can keep people divided in their community, divided in their home, if you cannot show them examples of what a healthy, loving family relationship should look like, especially in the African American community, if you're constantly pushing, the divorce rate is high, 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 high. Well, guess what? People automatically go into marriages thinking, well, the second you're not doing what I think you're supposed to be doing, I'm getting out. I want a divorce. You're not even being taught to say, okay, well, look, you can work this out. You can come together. You can be a unit and grow. Those are not things that are being taught. So that's another form of hypnosis that's taking place in the world today as well. Any questions or comments?
Well, I know I don't get into the statistics of the black family this, the black family that. I mean,
Right.
I was a single parent, and the saying is,
That's
oh,
right.
single parents, their kids are gonna be, be bad or doing this or doing that. I never latched onto that. My son is doing great.
Yes.
Um, and he's a good kid. So I just don't think people should get caught up in the statistics of quote unquote this or that. It just that's a form of hypnosis. It's a fear based tactic
Hmm.
that has no type of teeth. I mean, nothing. It's just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
look, the wheels are spinning. Another hypnosis, all men are dogs. Well, guess
that's
what? First of all, when you learn the universal laws, when you do the study on the universal laws, well, that which is like unto itself is drawn, and whatever you put out there comes back. So if you're thinking all men are dogs, so guess what? all men are going to be dogs. You have to change the narrative. That's a hypnotic spell. Remember, I said we're going to talk about it, but we're going to get some solutions for stuff too. That's something that has to be changed. You got to change your perspective. And on the other side of the coin, all women are bees and hoes. That needs to change too, because all women are not. And there are some good women out there as well as there are some good men. People just got to change the narrative. They got to break the hypnotic spell.
Mhm.
Questions or comments?
Ronald Reagan put forth the narrative of the welfare queen, who he didn't have to say it, but the welfare queen was black, when in fact, the welfare queen was white and remains white to this day. Number one, welfare was never created for black people. It was created under the New Deal for people of other persuasions in this country. And so you see, the political machine puts these narratives out there too.
Mhm.
Hillary Clinton put one out about black boys. Donald Trump is now putting out one about black boys and that they were born to kill, to be murderers, and to be thieves. I heard him say that on yeah, and I'm like, there it goes, there goes that narrative again. So we have to be very, very careful. A friend of mine who taught school for over 40 years said to me, um, something about the New Deal, and that was good for black people. I said, it wasn't created for black people. In fact, initially black people never even benefited from that, and they didn't benefit from it because the Southern former slaveholders did not want black people to be enfranchised by Social Security and all those other benefits that we do now get, but that was not made for us because black people during that time mostly worked domestic work, and where you didn't have anybody taking out taxes from your pay. So yeah, we don't look into things, we really don't do any research. So we think sometimes things were created one way and they were created another.
Mhm.
Wow.
You were talking about brain cells,
Mhm.
uh, and I can remember a course, a curriculum that my sister wrote, and the curriculum was teaching students critical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and she drew a diagram of brain, and it was a circle, and it had wavy lines on
Mhm.
on the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And she was explaining to the students, if you're not thinking for yourself and you're not doing any kind of exercising of your mental faculties, that brain is smooth. There are no wrinkles in it. So, as I listen to myself talking about that smartphone is not putting any wrinkles on the brain.
Mhm.
It's getting smoother and smoother, and may attribute to so much dementia and Alzheimer's
Mhm.
outside of the food and the water.
Mhm.
You
Maybe
know what?
that's why there are a number of younger people getting dementia
Yes.
because
Yeah.
they seem to be young and younger.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, they're not.
okay.
And if you notice, most seniors, they have them working word puzzles and different things like that to keep their brains active. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to keep those brain cells going.
And
Yeah.
even to what Miss P just said, just in no shots fired, but there's a saying, if you can't say amen, say ouch. Um, Babies. I can't tell you how many babies I see in a stroller with a phone. Like that's become their way of keep, and I know, it's a good way to keep the babies entertained and stuff, but
No,
it's
it's
it
not. Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, that's what they think. Let me say that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let me say it that way, because I mean, because when we was kids, babies, we had toys and things that help shape
Mhm.
and form the
Mhm.
brain and keep the kid.
Mhm.
So those are the things that I think that parents need to go back to,
Yeah.
because again, those are the formative years. So
Yeah.
if babies are being formed straight out the gate with a phone, like when a 2 year old can work a smartphone better than you can, that's not good.
Mhm.
That's not good. And it's definitely not good for them long term, because they're not even, a lot of kids don't even have social skills, which they still need that. So that's another hypnosis, taking away their social skills and interacting.
Mhm.
Going back to what I was saying, by
Yeah.
it's easy to text everything and
Yeah.
this, that, and the other, versus picking up the phone and having a real live conversation. Think about it. How often you can be in a restaurant and see a table full of people, and almost everybody at the table, and especially the kids, are on the phone or a tablet.
Yeah,
But
and top that with violent video games. You have no social skills and you playing violent video games. So there's no type of human interaction there.
none.
It's so indirect.
And you know what, as you said, and that's another thought I had earlier, even about the things that they watch. I remember, and this has been long years ago. There was a little boy. I want to say he was like a little 13-year-old boy. I guess he must have watched a wrestling match, and he tried the wrestling move on his. I really want to say she was his 8-year-old sister, and killed her.
Mhm.
This was long time ago. But that just shows how influential they are. This shows how, when you keep going back to the violent video games, it shows how people are not able to separate reality from fiction, from the game. Even when you bring back, I'm gonna go back to the music. The music also is doing its thing as well.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
just like, we have to start identifying what is against us. What is being used against us, and we got to alchemize it. Yeah, I recently learned the term. Look, I'm doing my studies, queens. I'm doing my critical thinking. We got to start alchemizing this energy. We got to start shifting it and transmuting it. These things have to change. Those are the things that will help break the spell. And as a matter of fact, it's so interesting because the other day a song came on that, I'll be honest, I might have even listened to earlier this year, but it didn't sit well with my spirit, because I've been doing some really serious elevation, and I've been doing some spiritual work and even some shadow work. People not familiar with shadow work, but I've even been doing some shadow work. And this particular song came on, and I realized, yeah, no, I can't listen to this no more. And it's not that I'm saying I'm holier than thou. It's just, it's not resonating with my spirit, because when you start operating in high vibrational frequencies, then, and you start opening your mind to what you're putting in, because it's important. Now, one thing I will say that um my bishop back in the day used to always say, guide your ear gates, your eye gates, and those portals into your body. You got to protect what you're watching. And of course, I've learned that as well from others. We got to be mindful of it. We really do, because that again is where the hypnosis come from. Any questions or comments?
When um, this comes from working with students, we
Mm-hmm,
always talk about the problem. And I used to say to them, let's come up with some solutions to the problem.
mm-hmm,
Problem is mass collective hypnosis.
mm-hmm,
What are some of the solutions to the problem? So when you call me, that's the first thing I looked up.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, AI and all of them are good when you're trying to find solutions if you know that you need to. So
mm-hmm.
I'd like to read what they say would be some of the solutions to mass hypnosis, if that's okay.
please. I've been throwing some solutions out there, but yes, bring them on.
Protecting yourself from manipulative mass persuasion involves exercising critical thinking. We talked about that. Self awareness. Seek multiple sources. Actively seek out diverse and well cited information to avoid a one sided perspective.
Mhm.
Second one, question emotional appeals. Recognize when a message is designed to trigger a strong emotional reaction. Being
Mhm.
aware of the tactics is the first step to resisting them. Third one, engage with dissenting voices. Listen to and respectfully consider viewpoints that challenge the dominant narrative. The fourth one, according to clinical psychiatrists, speaking out against mass narratives can lessen the depth of mass hypnosis. Don't just accept it, speak out
Mhm.
against it.
Mhm.
Reflect on personal goals. Focus your own goals and values rather than passively accepting the suggestions presented by mass messaging. And the last one, limit media consumption. Consciously reduce exposure to mainstream media or social media that you feel is overly influential. Today, I was speaking with a young person, I consider young, and they were talking about how detrimental social media had been to their psyche.
Mhm.
They were just talking about that today. What I did when Facebook first came out, hmm, sounds interesting. But when I find myself becoming enamored with it, I disconnected from it.
Yes. You still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me tell you, let me tell you I feel the old expression back in the day, keeping up with the Joneses. I feel social media is keeping up with the Joneses on steroids
Mhm.
because I mean, you back then it was only a community of people that people tried to keep up with each other, but now you got a world full of people that you trying to keep up. And then what's
And
sad,
that's an example of mass hypnosis, keeping up
Mhm.
with the Joneses.
and what's
Yeah, that you
worse,
know what?
go
Go.
ahead, let me say this. And what's worse is the Joneses is probably not even putting their real life out there. They only put in the good part of it to make somebody think, oh well, they, yeah, y'all know where I'm going with that. Make people think, oh, they living this best life and this, that, and the other, when in
Mhm.
actuality, they're not. They're good for
Mhm.
the camera, but then when the camera is off, it's a whole nother story. Cassandra.
And also when you, I'm not a big social media queen at all, but I do look at the poses that people are doing. They're all the same poses, the lip pose, the body pose, and they're all the same.
Girl.
And I think that's a mass hypnosis. Everybody's doing the same pose, the same lip pose, body pose. Everything's the same. Nothing's
Girl.
nothing's different. And it's like, have your own identity, but in a positive
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
Just have your own identity. And
Yes.
so when your identity is lost, you lose your identity, you lose your higher self, you lose your soul in it, because you're it's lost. You have no
Mhm.
identity keeping up with
Mhm.
the Joneses. So how much are you willing to lose, you know, by doing that?
Well, several things that popped in mind. One, when you were talking about the same poses and stuff. As a matter of fact, I really want to say like November last year when I had one of the Silver Fox models on here on this platform. Great conversation. I still follow him, and he just put up a post. I really want to say it was within. I'm just gonna say within the last couple of weeks. Um, And he was like, why is it that we see more booties on pictures than we see faces? Think.
The same goes.
He did. And all I could just be like, yeah, you right. You right. You know what I'm saying? Because people are not, you know, it. And then and then I'm going to add to that, like, you see, y'all, look, I love everybody. So just know that. I'm saying everything I say, I'm saying in love. You got some people that won't even take a picture if they don't put a filter on it. You don't even get to see who they really are in their natural beauty. They hide behind filters. So it's like people have forgotten to even show any of their authenticity. Begin, like you just said, they don't know who they are because they feel they
Mhm.
have to look a certain way in the social media world. Let me tell you something. There's pictures of me not even on social media, but in the real world, please. When I tell y'all, I avoid putting on makeup. Like, I will go if I'm not doing this or going out, I will walk around weeks at a time without makeup because I've learned to love me. And I feel that part of the spell that people are not realizing is they're not being taught to love themselves. So when you
Mhm.
constantly got to show your booty, or you got to put a filter on, or you got to, we got to get back to self love. That's one of the things that will break the spell as well. We got to get back to self love, self awareness. September is self awareness month. Do appreciate who we are in the God that's in us. God is experiencing life through each and every one of our eyes, our eyes. He's experiencing through us, regardless of what they even tried to do when they split the religions out. That's another hypnosis. The different religions split. Even Jesus had a problem with the religious leaders. You smiling, Miss P?
No, no, I was just thinking about a lot of things that I come in contact with every day. And I think it was yesterday, this man came to the window, and I asked him how he was doing, and he made some reply. And so I asked him how I could help him. And I don't know where it came from. I asked him how, I don't know what he said exactly, but he seemed a little bothered with whatever the question was that I asked him. And he says, I'm a Christian man. And I'm like, so why do you have to make the announcement?
Mm, I ain't touching that
Because
one.
if you are, you don't have to tell me.
Mm. Well,
And I get a
sometimes,
lot of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, look, all right. Because some people have to announce it because they not living it. Their actions is not showing. Is not showing it. So
That's
maybe
right.
look, maybe they'll program their subconscious mind to get to acting how they supposed to be if that's the walk that they're walking.
Hmm.
I mean
Hmm.
that's only thing.
Yeah.
And but again, it's another form of programming. That definitely needs to we need to identify to break the spell. We need to break the spell.
Okay.
Any any um any additions to anything that we just talked about that pop comes to mind? Dr. C and Abuela, anything come to mind on any of this?
I'm I think everything is hypnotic, from corporations to the media to the music to the school system. Just everything is just a big world of hypnosis, you know?
Hmm.
And even you got to know that even you put your own self in hypnosis, even when you drive. So, say one thing we learned in hypnosis, like when you're driving, and
Mm-hmm.
say you don't even realize you got to that next exit, you look back, it's like, wow, I'm already at my exit. Well, your nervous system took over and got you there, but your mind was in hypnosis. You just go there at some point in the day. So if you happen to pass the news on and you're in that state, well, guess what? You just got caught up in it.
Mm. Now I'll be honest, like
So,
I.
and if you notice, if you notice in the political arena, they
Mm-hmm.
talk about the woke culture. They don't
Yeah.
want you to be awake at all.
No,
They want you to be asleep.
that's
And it
exactly
reminds
what.
me of, what is it, the 23rd Psalm? Even though we walk through the valleys of the shadow of death,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're spiritually dead, first of all, and if you're spiritually dead, you really are asleep. So you're not going to
Mm.
hear anything. You're not going to hear anything of positive. And that's why I think people naturally gravitate toward the negative, because they're spiritually dead on the inside.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mm.
Miss P, you were getting ready to say something?
It slipped. It went south.
No, but no, that was no, but that was good. That was good. And when you talk about awake, like the woke you know, the people will, be like, whatever, I'm awake. No, spiritually, there's a high probability if you're continuously acting beneath who you are as a god or goddess in these bodies, then you're not awake. You're not awake. If you're allowing them to control and manipulate you, you're not awake. With that, let me ask this question, because I'm almost sure I know the answer to it, but I still want to throw it out there. If global mass hypnosis continues unchecked, what do you think the long-term consequences for humanity could be? Anybody?
That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now. So we find people are zombies. That's the purpose,
Mhm,
to create
mhm,
a civilization of zombies.
Mm,
mhm. But and also too, those will die out. They'll die out. And and so when the earth vibration becomes more, when it raises, those people will die off. They're going to go, because you just can't work on that low vibration continuously. It has to evolve, and those people will die off.
Mhm.
So there's a certain population that has died off.
Mhm.
A certain percentage of the population can no longer have children. And that's why they push interracial marriages.
And that's why
So
they're
it
now
has
pushing.
happened.
Yeah.
Mm,
That's why they're now
mm.
pushing against birth control, so that that population can maybe make it back, but it's not going to.
mm-mm.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
But
And
wait
I'm
a
like,
minute.
if any, huh?
Birth control, trying to push against birth control. So, what the scriptures say, be fruitful and multiply. So, go back to the old days of having 10, 15, 20 kids when they already don't even have a society. We have a,
It has nothing to do with religion.
no, no,
Mm-mm.
no, I know. I'm just
And,
using that I'm putting that context.
and it has all to do with the population. The birth control is for, they're, uh, they're against it now
They're
because
against it.
they want a certain population not to keep procreation going because they have died out.
There are towns in this country that have shut, they've just had to close down because there are no more people there, no children to go to school, and the populations have gotten older.
And they will not put that on the news.
No, they're not. But when you see all of this happening, that's when I heard about the birth control today. I'm like, well, it's certainly not for us, because they'd rather abort all of us before we got here, and after we get here, they will still abort us.
Well, now I don't even think that abortion is even, I mean, I
No,
guess in
no,
some places, but
no. And Tammy, I hope you hear what we're saying.
yeah,
They
I got
are
it.
against birth control for only one group.
I got you. I got you.
The rest of you, we'll give you all the birth control you want, because we don't want you here anyway.
Right. I got it. I got it. I got it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
got it. But still, okay. And then that increases the welfare queens and all that stuff like that. And not and I mean, for if it, because if you having kid, people have unlimited children. I mean, I'm just, but wow.
That
They'll
is a
start.
projection of mass hypnosis, the
Yeah.
welfare system.
Hmm.
Over 85% of the people on welfare are Caucasians. Yet when you ride down the street and you see big signs talking about public housing and welfare, they'll always have Black faces. I
That's right.
repeat, look it up. Go to God, Google. What percentage of the population is on welfare? It is not, it is not people that look like me.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It
Okay.
never was.
So we have been once again, listening to the news,
Mm-hmm.
we have been under hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Right here in Greensboro, North Carolina, they have over 17, I believe, public housing
19,
complex. Is it
19,
19? The last time I looked, it was 17, so it's been a while. How many they have? Three or four? Four.
4
Four for
African
black.
American.
Exactly. Four for African Americans. Those are the only ones who ever get any public scrutiny. The rest of them are hidden very well.
Yeah. Yep. Because look,
Mm-hmm.
God, Mr. AI says while the majority of welfare recipients are white, then you got other racial groups are representative, representative relative to the population share.
Now
Well,
that's another danger of AI. Prior to that, they would give you a percentage.
oh yeah, yeah. I would
But
have to
yeah,
dig into a website
yeah,
probably.
we're under mass hypnosis.
Mm-hmm. And AI is not always correct.
That's what I'm saying. And
AI is
and
not
they,
always correct.
and it's going to get worse because they're going to wipe AI. That means just the information that's in cyberspace, that the real information, they're going to wipe that out and just put in the information they want
Mm-hmm.
to mass control with.
Hmm.
So you better learn how to
Mm-hmm.
critical think,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
read.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Research.
I hate to be around when you hand a child a book and they say, "What is that?"
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, because you already in a world full of people where common sense is not common. So if you take the books out, that's not gonna be a good. Well, I never thought about that. I don't want to be a part of that either. That just does not
It's
have a
it's
good.
it's
It does not
already
have a good
happened
end.
because of your smartphone. How many people do you know that have in their homes right now have a library? How many people do you know that have 10 books in their house right now?
Mm.
I do see. Just kidding.
Oh, I know. I mean,
I got some books back there.
on a
Just
whole,
kidding.
we've been taught that once you
Jeremiah.
graduate and you get a piece of paper, you don't need to read anything. You know everything.
Mm,
Yeah.
mhm,
What and that's crazy because in certifications, like Cassandra, we both have our real estate license. You still have to do
mhm,
continuing ed for that. Like I have my project management certification. You
mhm,
have to do continuous study. So it's kind of
mhm,
um shocking to me that that it, but you're right. I definitely am not disputing that, because that is it. Because like with math, they be like, oh, you have to go through all these difficult math equations, then once you get in the real world, you don't even need all that stuff that they
mhm, mhm.
programmed in us. So I get what you're saying. I get what
Because
you're
I
saying.
repeat, rarely will you go into a home that has a library.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, what's the United Negro College Fund slogan? The mind is a terrible thing to waste.
It's a
And so that's
terrible
why.
thing to waste your mind. The mind is not a terrible thing,
Mhm.
Say
but
that
it
again.
is
I
a
was.
the mind is not a terrible thing, but it is a terrible thing to waste your mind.
Yes, yes. I like that. Thank you for that correction. Cuz
Mhm.
yeah, so that's why it's important to be constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly evolving.
Always.
Um were you getting ready to say something, Cassandra? Oh,
No, I totally agree. I'm pretty much a lifelong learner. I never thought I would be. I
that's her
stay
right
in
there.
school learning something, and my grandmother said, "Are you?" My grandmother said, "Are you going to be a lifelong learner?" I said, "Oh no," and that's exactly what I've turned out to be. But I think as long as you're in this form, you never stop learning. Every day
You
is
shouldn't.
You
a learning
shouldn't.
opportunity. Where you should never stop. But you do hear that. You do hear people say, I'm too old to learn anything. I don't want to learn anything. I just want to sit here and just do nothing. And that's the worst thing you can do.
That goes back to what you were saying about the ridges in the brain versus it smoothing out. When you
Mhm,
stop
mhm,
having, wanting to do things, having a vision, stop,
mhm.
you setting yourself up. Were you getting ready to say
And I need
something?
to say, yeah, another thing about the brain, they took music out of the schools. Music is not really in the schools anymore. So
Mm-mm.
what music is great for kids. It creates new patterns in the brain
Oh
that's
wow.
not there. So if they don't even have that anymore. So that their creativity side is not there. So it
Mhm.
diminishes the brain even at a young age, not having music
Yep.
Okay,
in the
so
schools. So if you can't have that, at least have it in the house playing for the child. Yeah.
listen, I will go on record saying this, and I'm okay with whatever comes behind it. I believe in reincarnation. I believe in that. We've all had this. I've had this conversation with you all, Cassandra. You and I have talked about this. Um,
Mhm.
I really hope. I hope this is my last incarnation, because I don't want to come. I don't want to come back.
This must be a confirmation because I had a visitor today that I hadn't seen in a while, and that was what he said. That was
Mm.
what he said. He said, I don't want to come back here again.
I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back. I hope
Mhm.
whatever it is that I am here to learn and experience in this life, I am ready. I want to get it all,
Mhm.
because from a lot of the spiritual knowledge that I have acquired, Earth is the hardest school. This is a school, and it is the hardest ones in the cosmos. And even when I talk about the reincarnation, Abuela,
Mhm.
was it you who mentioned Edgar Casey to me? Did you ever mention? Okay, it was somebody. Okay, it was somebody. I don't know why I feel. I know one of my coworkers mentioned it to me, and then I listened. My favorite podcast channel now is Next Level Soul, and
Oh yeah.
I know he mentioned Edgar Casey. You familiar with Next Level Soul?
Oh yeah, and
You
Edgar
probably the reason
Casey.
I'm on Next Level Soul. So you just know that that's my favorite channel now.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I spend I got a list. Yeah, I'm that is my thing. And so that's where I got Edgar Casey's name from also, but I do know one of my coworkers mentioned him, and he actually I found because I after hearing about it, I'm finally like, okay, let me find some information about him. And I found a video where it was talking about he channeled like the missing information about Jesus from the Akashic records. And in the information, it was talking about how the information from the Bible where Jesus taught on resurrection is part of who we are. That's part of our growth. Every time we come here, we come to experience, and then what we don't experience, we come back, we keep coming back. But they took it out. Look, going back to that Council of Nicaea that was put together to remove that, because they knew if they kept that and people really knew their true power. Look, trying to get you guys through the hypnosis, they knew if people knew their true power, which is what Jesus was trying to convey when he said, the works I do you will do in greater. He was trying to convey, you can do what I am doing, but you have to know who you are. And if you think that this is that one life and this is that one chance to get it right and it's final for night, then it keeps people, honestly. Look, another mass hypnosis that I just thought about. Do you know how many people are still trying to figure out their life purpose? It's people especially in certain realms, like, I don't know what I'm here for. I don't know what I'm here for. Well, here, let me help everybody out. Live on love and passion. That should be our full life, one of our life's purpose. When you follow your love, your passion, your bliss, it'll guide you to your purpose. But a lot of people can't get to their purpose because they have
Mhm.
these rules in place, these hypnotic things that have been put in them to tell them this is how you're supposed to live. They don't know about thought forms. And a lot of and that's another hypnosis, because a lot of us are living thought forms. Remember the white after Labor Day, that's a thought form. And I'm going to digress and give you guys an opportunity to speak, because I can go on and on and on about this. But just know this, in the things that, and I know people like to say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory, oh, whatever. No, it's not. There are some of Jesus's teaching that was removed, and he did talk about the resurrection and things of that nature. But I'm gonna give you ladies the opportunity to speak.
And there are
I
many
want to
more
say,
great. Oh, go ahead,
I
Penelope.
just want to, I want to say this because I need to leave. I need some sleep.
Okay.
Uh, because I've been awake since
No,
4
thank
a.m.
you. Thank you for just joining us.
Um, anyway, you talking about people wanting to know their purpose. And the scripture also said that Jesus said to know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Now,
Yes.
what came to me is this: you know your purpose when you know the truth, because the truth that you know is who you are. So when you know who you are, therein lies your freedom and your purpose.
Yes.
And I'm going to say
I just
good
want
night to you, ladies, and to the audience.
Good night, Miss
All
P.
right.
thank
Thank you
you.
so
It
much
was
for
nice
jumping in
being
with
here.
us.
Oh, you're so welcome. Anytime.
Much love
Good
to you,
night.
Queen. Good
All right.
night. Go ahead, Cassandra.
This is confirmation about what you guys are talking about. I didn't say another part about me when you asked, tell me something about yourself. So I will have a channel on YouTube called Monarch Manifestations, and it's
What?
going to help. It's going to be Monarch Manifestations, like Monarch. I think that's how, yeah, manifestations. So that's going to really be guiding people through to their life purpose. And I'll be
Mm.
um, basically getting information from spirit. And at the end, I will do a guided meditation about that. So, yeah.
I
And
love that. I love
so when
that.
you
I
said life purpose, that's just another confirmation of what God told me my life purpose is to do. And so I
exactly.
would like to help others find theirs because I know that's mine. Yeah.
And look, I'm just gonna go ahead and put a plug in for you on that, because let me tell you, this sister has said some things to me that has come true. So so she has a gift. She has a gift. So and so look, I'm gonna give y'all another form of hypnosis. Another form of hypnosis is if it doesn't come to you in a certain form from a certain person, like your leader and stuff like that, then you can't take it as true. If you know where I'm going with that. I'm talking in riddles, but because I'm trying not to just directly say it. Because some people, like, if it didn't come from who's over me or something like that, then I can't believe it. Or if it's not in this book, it's not. No, I can't receive that. Oh no, that's
Mhm.
witchcraft. Oh, that's the devil's work and stuff like that. So we have to be
Mhm.
mindful of that too, because one thing that I'm learning more and more, your spirit will tell you. If you consult your inner spirit, your inner being, remember that spirit, Jesus talked about it, that he sent to each, that's in each and every one of us, that Christ consciousness. When you start consulting more and more, that wakens you up to what was said by Miss P. It starts waking you up to more truth. And
Mhm.
believe me, with the spirit of discernment, which we all have, when you use your spirit of discernment, you know what's not for you and what's for you and what's not for you. Is the power is in all of us. And
Mhm.
far too long they have taken our power, and it's
Mhm.
time for us to take our power back. That's where breaking the spell of hypnosis, becoming mindful, becoming conscious of, even things that you engage in and interact with. Because a lot of times people engage
Mhm.
in drama. In fact, I like to use the term, people have learned to normalize dysfunction. It's time to stop that. This world don't change
Mhm.
until we change, and it starts with each and every one of us. Don't That's where the true power to break the spell comes into play. Any comments or questions, ladies?
I would like to say that's coming to me
Hmm.
um, that every day I feel that you should say those words wide awake, and really become aware of your surroundings and yourself and your body. And also, if you don't know about grounding, then do a grounding technique to keep you grounded so that you're not just floating everywhere.
Listen, I can't even stress the importance of grounding, the importance of meditating, the importance of prayer.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, my prayers go deep, because like I in my prayer, I'm talking to God, I'm talking to my angels, I'm talking to my ancestors, I'm talking to my elders, my spiritual guides, I'm talking to all of them. And even the Jesus Christ consciousness as well. I'm talking to all of that, because we need it. These come on, these flesh, we're temples. We're housing the Holy Spirit, but then at the same time, because of the hypnosis that's on us, we're not being taught. No, you get to talk to those people. In fact, people don't even realize that even in the case of the transition of a loved one, if they really ground and really go in, they spiritually can communicate with their loved one. But I know that that's a topic for a whole nother day. But they're always with us. So even when people are grieving, I've heard stories where their loved ones have been trying to get through to them to tell them that they're okay, but the grief is so heavy that they're blocking them. It's just so much in this spiritual world that hasn't been we've been given permission to accept, because we've again been told it's the other, the devil's work or witchcraft or stuff like that. But it was never that. Miss Sylvia, you have anything to say, ma'am?
I just want to say that we're all spirit.
Yes.
We are spirit is energy.
Yes.
Uh, We are electromagnetic.
Yes.
There's nothing out there other than spirit. We've been under a great hoax, and we connect. We connect via spirit, and the what they call that, the quantum field.
Quantum
Everything.
field.
How would I say? Everything about this particular universe we're in is electromagnetic.
Mm.
Doesn't You don't have to worship any particular person and um, any kind of religion or any of those mass hypnosises. We don't have to be under those kinds of things. And we also have to remember too, take into consideration, like you were saying, reincarnation. First it was Thoth, Osiris, Jesus. They're all the same. They're all the same.
Mhm.
Thank you
But
for
we have
saying
been
it.
bamboozled
Yeah.
by
Mhm.
religion, mainly Christianity,
Mhm.
Yeah.
into
Yes.
thinking that we're anything other than spirit. That's it.
Period.
We're all one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And again, that's another form of the hypnosis. If you have people thinking that they're not, and then you have them competing, my religion is better than your religion, my God is better than your God, Buddha, Muhammad, you know, no, they are
And,
all in the term called
and
the
they are God. They are
they're
God. It's not
they're
your God, my God. It's God.
and they're ascended masters. They master
Mhm.
what we are here to master. We are here to
Mhm.
master and learn whatever it is that we had the conversation with our spirit guides about, whatever it is that we came here to experience in this life. That really is what we're here to find out. What is it? What did we have the conversation? Did I say I was coming to look have this podcast to wake up a million people? Right? Whatever it is, it's it really does become that simple, but people have made it so complicated because they put all they've twisted the information, which has caused that's been the biggest problem right there in itself, the twisting of the information,
Mhm.
so that when
And
people
another thing
are
about
presented with the truth, they don't dare, and because they're not willing to accept it, because one is probably been presented to them so late in life, because you got to think in the
Mhm.
formative years they were presented a truth that, so that became their truth. And so now when you try to tell them different, then they think, you've lost your mind. But what you were going to say,
Mhm.
Cassandra?
I'll say, I want to answer that. When they get programmed at such a young age, their subconscious mind, it forms that library of association. So whatever you tell them, the subconscious mind is going to reject it. And sometimes they may not even know why they're doing that. It'll just reject. And so you have to go get through to the critical mind in order to even get there to the subconscious to be able to change that and reprogram that negative belief or thought. And one another thing about mass hypnosis, you really have to be careful how you take in information from people around you. So they might say, "Oh, the world is getting so bad. The world is just so everything is just so crazy." Well, you are a reflection of your outside world. Your inner world your outer world reflects your inner world. So if you feel like the outside world is crazy, well, maybe you need to change your thought process, because that can affect your that will affect your health. Your cells will not respond good at all. And also, the mass hypnosis also can create things. So if you join in and you believe in a world disaster with everyone else, well, that energy is going to create it.
Hmm.
It happened with Hurricane Katrina, because everybody kept saying, "Oh, we're gonna." Okay, so I remember that country, Sri Lanka. They had they had a tsunami there. Well, those people over there, they believe in reincarnation. So they were not, you didn't, I didn't see any tears and all this, but I remember back then I heard people saying, "Oh, it's going to happen here. It's going to happen here." Well, it did happen because everybody formed that opinion. So it happened with Hurricane Katrina. So that was the tsunami. So I just don't believe in joining in with this negative belief system because you will create that. So
Amen.
I would have to tell people to guard your thoughts, and surround yourself with positive energy. Do whatever it is to block out that negativity so you don't join another person in their thoughts, because what's going on in their world has nothing to do with my world. you know
Facts.
it's got to be positive.
That is so true. Wow, that was
Mhm.
a good way to start bringing this in. That was some really wow. I love the way you said that because
Mhm.
that's a whole nother, you know, thing that people aren't taught. Like your inner world is reflected through your outer. So
Mhm.
you, if anything that you feeding it, that become,
Mhm.
you mirroring your outside world is a mirror
Yeah,
of you.
yeah,
And
and that
we
goes
were
into the relationships. Like when you were saying that people think that all men are dogs. Well, what is that saying about yourself? If you feel that from another person, what does it say about you? Because you really should be looking at people with more compassion as much as
mm,
you can. It's easier said than done in some certain
of
situations.
course.
Um, but I wanted, it's on my mind to recommend that book on your podcast, which is The Course in Miracles that I told you about.
Hmm.
If anyone get that book, and if you can do what's in that book, I tell you, you will be so liberated. And it's mainly talking about forgiveness, and it's talking about um, not expecting someone to fill the shoes that only God can fulfill.
Mm.
It's talking about everyone in our life is supposed to be there. We call them there for whatever reason to learn a lesson, and they may not, they may be there just to teach you a lesson, but it's usually all about forgiveness. Yes.
Wow. And
Yeah.
for when you talking forgiveness, I recently been talking about the whole pono prayer, which is
Hmm.
I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And that's
Hmm.
also a prayer of forgiveness and reconciliation with yourself as to how you see the situation in the outside world as well. But
Hmm.
look that up, Dr. Hugh Lin, on the whole pono prayer. He used that to heal
Hmm.
mentally ill patients in a psychiatric ward in a prison. So this wow, this was some really, 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 really good stuff. So but we are getting ready to bring this to a close. I hope everybody got something out of this because this was awesome. So, Abuela, any final words for these wonderful viewers this evening?
I just think that Cassandra summed everything up pretty well. That's it. That's the bottom line. She gave us the bottom line.
Yeah, she did. She look dropped the mic. She nailed it. You nailed it. So look, anything else fell into your spirit? Oh, and tell them the name of the author of that book. And let me say this: it's interesting because I'm getting ready to restart my planting and on watering podcast, but I said I'm gonna do it audio only. And for some reason, because you gave me that book, I felt that I wanted to go through that book and summarize it. So I'm actually planning to really go through that book and share
Good.
it, like give like little inspirational messages from it as well. So, but
Good.
any final words, and also tell the people how they can get in contact with you.
Is A Course in Miracles for one, um, by Foundations for Inner Peace. Also, what's coming to me is to tell people to go within, to go into their closet. And what I mean by the closet is go into your inner soul and listen to your heart. Yeah, just listen and ask your heart what it wants.
Mm,
Really listen to that.
nice. And how can they contact you?
Well, right now, I'll let you know at a later time.
Okay, no worries, no worries, no
All
worries, no
right.
worries. I
Yeah.
got you. I got you. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming back, being with us in this again. I've been waiting like most of the year to have this conversation because
Mhm.
like as I obtain information and my consciousness expands, I want to expand the consciousness. Now, here's the thing: everyone is not ready for what we know and what we talk about. That's okay. But one thing I'm a firm believer of, even as the scripture said, one man planted, one water, and it's God that gives the increase. So, what I believe that this information that was shared, even though to some people may be far fetched, at some point it will resonate with them and take root and grow in their lives. So thank you, ladies, so much. Abuela, thank you for jumping in last minute. Again, Cola had ended up with a date night, so she took the night off. So thank you for jumping in at the last minute. I appreciate you. And of course to Miss P, much love to her. So my services are I am a life coach and transformational speaker who would love to be part of your event as either an MC or a speaker. You can obtain more information at www.that'sawoman.com. With much love and gratitude, I thank again my panel for being with us, my guests, and my viewers. Thank you all for joining. And again, if you're not part of our community, I invite you to subscribe to receive future notifications as we are here weekly at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with new content. Also, please support us by dropping us a comment or giving us a thumbs up by clicking the like button. And please share this with others because we know some very valuable information came forth in our talk tonight. And just a reminder, next week is the third Wednesday of the month. So that will be our men's only conversation. So join us for our men's talk. So, in honor of September being self care awareness month, I leave you all with this. If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. John Cornfield. My words to go with it. Tip for completing yourself. Give yourself permission to feel what you need to feel for your well being and your higher good, then release it. Release anything that constantly makes you feel inadequate and unworthy. Then be selfish. I know you don't hear that and you probably think I'm crazy, and that's okay. But be selfish enough to know that you matter and show yourself the same, and these words was used earlier, love and compassion that you show to others. Far too long people have been kind to others and mean to themselves. Therefore, I encourage you, please take some time, focus on the man in the mirror, and give yourself what you need. Your future self will thank you for it. So as always, again, peace, love, and blessings. Good night.